It's a beautiful time of the year, but again, we all can't say the same, that it's a beautiful time of the year. Even when the timing has no issue in this, it's so many of us that are going through so many different things, and I am not going to extend myself so far to go through all the problems that everyone is going through. I know that everyone on planet has something that is not moving right somewhere, somehow. But again, there is something that I have noticed in the recent past, and that is the lack of concentration, the fog that is filling people's minds, the lack of focus, and the destabilization of life. And I know that you are feeling it, that even when some of us are decorating, even when some of us are buying whatever we need to buy, are calling families, are celebrating with families, deep down there is a lack of satisfaction for the things that we have not yet been able to do. And we promised ourselves when the year was beginning and say that, you know what, I'm going to hit this goal, maybe a financial goal, maybe a weight loss goal, maybe it's a work, a career kind of goal, maybe it's a school, anything. But you said, I am going to hit this. And you said, you set your resolutions, you set your goals. But again, we don't know what happened midway or even quarter way, midway. And, you know, as people were counting down that, you know what, we have 3 months to go, we have 2 months to go. And now we actually don't have a month to go. It's only a matter of days. Most of the people's minds are actually shutting down in regret. Okay, they are being bound by things that they were not able to do, and then the devil is tormenting them with anxiety about what is coming, and you know, the next year and all that, so they cannot enjoy the now, and that is why I am here today. I shared briefly with my mentorship class last week. I had a dream of people that were coming to me. Most of these people were actually people in my mentorship, but some of them were people that were not in my mentorship, because outside the hall, it was a very big hall, but outside the hall, there were so many people that were coming in, but they were blind. They could not even see the door. Some of the people that were in the hall were I mean, they had fog. They had fog on them. Some had cleared the fog. The fog was intense, and then some of them were very clear. Now, those that were clear were actually running to the front. For those of you that are in the mentorship, and we went through the plan, pray, plan, and prosper, we're still in that. Even now, this is part of that. So I told you about the dream, that those that had cleared, the fog had cleared, they were on the podium with me. And those that had clearer sight were coming and giving me their hands, and I was lifting them to the podium. And I was giving out microphones to the people that were on the podium. And for me, it's a sign of being activated, being switched on, and, you know, being told, you know, go and help others. Go and help, you know, others that are blind, that still have the fog, are still stressed, are still go and help others. It was more of a commissioning. But what touched me most was the lack of clarity, because when I was beginning 2024, I actually prayed to God, and He gave me the words for this year. And this is what I have operated in since the beginning of the year. And that is clarity, strategy, and confidence. Okay, clarity, strategy, and confidence. I have only moved around those three words together with the people that have come into my life, those that have come from sessions, those that have come into the mentorship. Whatever message I have publicized or I have put on YouTube, on TV, on all social media platforms, it has been driving to those three things. Number one, being able to get the clarity that we need, because if we don't have clarity, then we can't move, we can't accelerate, we can't elevate, we can't get to anything. If we don't have strategy, I mean, that we can't apply anything, we can't execute. And if we don't have confidence, yeah, because confidence is the driving force for clarity and strategy. And so I put that aside. When I was praying for this year 2025, still God gave me three. I think these are not words, but three statements. And One of them was hope for life. Okay, hope for life. There are people that have lost hope, totally lost hope, and we will dwell on that at length so that we can be rejuvenated. Number two was compassion. You know, compassion is not when you have mercy on someone and just leave them at that. Compassion is when you have mercy on someone and you can do something about it, something tangible, to be able to get them from one state to another state, from a bad state to a different state. Now, this also ties in with the mentorship and the people that I'm training, and being able to help them to be transformers and world changers and gladiators and freedom seekers that can be able to help people from one place to another. So I'm working with a group of people. I'm not working alone. So that is hope for life, and that is compassion. And then embellish. Embellish is more like decorating. Do you see how fighters, when they fight and they're going to the next level and going to the next level, how they get embellished with or decorated? It's more like decorating. Okay, it's more like saying that, well done, good and faithful servant. That is one of the things. Vividly, by the way, vividly. This is not about me sitting down and saying, you know, mzungu abula, you know, close your eyes and select what words. Vividly, from the throne of God himself speaking to me, that 2025 is going to be a year where he's going to give us hope for life, where he's going to be compassionate about us, that he's not just going to have mercy and leave us at that, but he is going to go ahead, to go an extra mile and take us from whatever state we are in to another state, and he's going to decorate us, he's going to embellish us, he's going to, you know, he's going to tell us, well done, good and faithful servant. He's going to make us look different. Okay, and I hope that you take that in even as you pray, because you are listening, because you are viewing. That means you are tied in with me. You are not here by coincidence. We are here to move together. And you remember the foundation for all this talk and for all this chat that we usually have, you and I, is that we are not sinking, we are not we are not surviving, we are thriving. We are going to thrive and flourish. But one of the things that we are talking about today is stress, okay? Because that is one of the things that has taken away so many people's happiness, that has taken away the concentration that I talked about at first. It has taken away the focus. It has taken away, if you see me look at my iPad, it's because I have some notes that I have put here. Whatever was coming in my mind, I was putting it down so that I don't forget it when I am talking to you. And so when we talk about concentration, that means we are talking about our brain. If our brain has fog, that means we cannot remember anything. And you can tell me, you can even testify that of late your brain has been functioning in a way that you don't understand. You easily forget things. They send you for something and you easily forget it. Someone tells you something, you forget your appointments, you forget, because there is a lot that is going on, that is boiling underneath, and that is stress. You cannot concentrate. That, you know what, even your boss, maybe your immediate supervisor, maybe your husband, maybe your wife, maybe your children, maybe whoever is concerned is telling you, but you can't even concentrate and finish something as small as this task. You can't even concentrate to finish this report. You can't even concentrate enough. Like, your mind is just skipping and moving. And no wonder we have been given the social media platforms, and these social media platforms you can see they are taking us away from the long form kind of content where you can sit for an hour and watch something that is edifying, something that is building, and we are going into seconds, you know, with all the TikToks and with all the reels, and they are good, but life is running at a very terrific speed, at a neck-breaking speed. If we are not careful, we are never going to leave a mark on this earth. If we are not careful, we're just going to live life like mere mortals that are just going to die and be forgotten, and that is not your portion and mine. If you are in business, if you are in ministry, if you are on a mission to pursue your purpose, if you are in marriage, whatever it is, remember I told you that if you have a purpose, the devil has a target on you. You know, you are marked, you are a target, and some of these things he's going to bring that undermines the brain work and how the brain functions and how our bodies function is the stress. I happened to ask a certain doctor, and I have so many doctor friends. For those of you that have been with me for quite a long time, you know I've hosted some doctors. So I was concerned and I was asking them about this stress thing and how it actually affects us. And one of them was telling me that when you have stress, some of its effects is on the frontal lobe. Now, on the frontal lobe, when you talk about the brain, they told me it's a front. I'm not a scientist. I have never loved science, but it's the front part of the brain, and that front part of the brain is concerned about all the goals that you set. Is concerned about you being cool and collected and calm. It is concerned about what you do, the priorities that you said, that what do I do first and what do I do next. So you realize that if that part is affected, then that is where you say, I woke up blank, okay? And then you sit in one place, you start on a task and then you get blank and you wake up an hour. It's like you were in a trance or something. You slept, like you are sleeping on your desk, but you're not closing your eyes, you're not putting your head down, but you are sucked up into a vacuum, an endless vacuum of anxiety, of stress from our brands that are not as irresistible as we want them to be, from our bodies that they are not what we want them to be, as in there is stress all over, and some of this is self-inflicted, some of it is actually coming from the external sources. But must you let everything reach to you? Must you let everything reach to you? I think it must have been 5 weeks ago or 6 weeks ago when I say that do not let your soul die, because the moment you let your soul die, that is when you give up on everything in life. So when stress gets to your soul, that is when you're like, you know what, nakoa, I got tired, you know. So you give up. And you give up on business, you give up on family, you give up on your studies, you give up on the things that would have propelled you to continuously elevate and accelerate and run towards your goal. And all of a sudden, right now, you have been cut short, you are paralyzed because of the constant stress. So you see how when it affects the frontal lobe, that is when you can set all the goals that you need. I know that so many of you have set so many goals as the year ends. You know, you have had vision board parties, you have had planning series, you have had, on paper, you know exactly what you want to have. On paper, you know how much money you want to earn next year. On paper, you know how you want to perform. On paper, you know how your home is supposed to look like. On paper, you know how your business is supposed to look like, because we can speak too much English and we can, you know, when we are amidst motivation. Have you ever been in church and you felt like, yeah, the presence of the Lord is around and there is warmth and people are lifting chairs and they're shouting, and then when you go back alone, the moment you get out of the church doors or the moment you enter your own door at home, as in it feels like all the motivation has been washed away, and all of a sudden you have come back to default settings. And that is what stress can do, because even if you set all the goals, implementing them and the action bit of it and execution is what gets you to success. It is not the intention. Some of us have the good intention. We write it down. We say it. You look at me. Just give me time. Give me 1 year. I know you have good intentions, but here we must be able to move from good intentions to good actions, and we cannot move to good actions for as long as we are stressed and our frontal lobe is affected. So we can never control our emotions, because that is where you actually control your emotions. And then the other one actually it affects the hippocampus. Okay, now the hippocampus is the core of your memory, where you remember the things that happened, where you remember. And now the bad thing is when stress hits, okay, you will forget all the good things. You will forget all the good things. That is why we are rarely grateful even to God. We are rarely grateful. Otherwise, if you try to gather yourself and say, let me be grateful, you realize that things to be grateful about are really scanty. For you, you're looking at the bigger things. Can you even be grateful that you are alive? Can you even be grateful that you had breakfast? Can you even be grateful that you have the children? Can you even be grateful, as in, for the simple things that you woke up? For the simple things, guys, these days I am so grateful that I can even be able to move, okay? That I can be able to move. move. For me, it is something that strikes gratitude from me, because chances are I wouldn't be able. I wouldn't be able to move. Okay, so I can be able to see. Oh God, I can be able, as in I can enjoy. Can you thank God even the fact that when you put food in your mouth, you can feel its taste? Do you know that there are people who don't have taste? They eat to survive. You remember during COVID how people didn't have lost taste, and they didn't have appetite. They, as in, thank God, okay? Be grateful. Now, do you know that our thanking God is stimulated by memory, is stimulated by remembering? You know the song that says, Bwenzijukire yoje wanzija, nemfukamira wansinkusinze. As in, gratitude, the foundation for gratitude is your memory. Now, if your memory is affected because of the stress, that means, and this is very selective, you are going to remember all the bad things. You're going to remember someone who broke your heart. You're going to remember how your auntie abused you. You're going to remember the abandonment issues. You're going to remember how your parents don't love you. You're going to remember, I don't know why, but when stress affects, it just affects, I think it affects the good parts. It blurs the good parts. You forget the good parts. You forget, just imagine, do you know that even in real life, let me come to you, because most of the times when you set out to achieve certain things, maybe at work, and you're like, you know what, I should remember to do my report, I should remember to do this, I should remember to do that. Do you know that you can easily forget all? As in, someone tells you, you're supposed to hand in your report on the 28th, but on the 30th, someone reminds you, just when, you know, your boss, your line manager is telling you, but I've not seen your report, and you're like, oh my God, I was supposed to do a report. Remember, your payment is actually dependent on your report. But if you can just forget your report, if you can just forget a task, you know, someone gives you a task to do, and all of a sudden, and you're like, I forgot. People are stressed. And I know that I am talking to you, and you know that you are actually stressed. But let me tell you, we will not forget to scroll our phones, TikTok, for more than 5 hours in a day. We will not forget to scroll that. Okay? We will not forget weird parties. By the way, you can forget a constructive conference, but you're not going to forget a weird party. They call you for nyege nyege, and you think you're going to forget nyege nyege. Let me tell you, it will be up on your mind every time. You'll even be daydreaming about it. Now, that is how bad stress can be, that it is going to rob you of the good, but it is going to leave all the bad, the things that do not take you anywhere, the things that do not, they seem like temporary comforts, okay? And they are not building you, they are not contributing anything, but those are the things that you are remembering. All the wounds of the past are the ones that you're remembering, but you can never be mindful enough to be grateful for today. For today. What the devil does, by the way, he robs you, he gives you the anxiety for tomorrow. He reminds you of the wounds of yesterday, and now you stay in a place where you are not even centered, you are not rooted, your mind, your heart is palpitating, you cannot sleep, you cannot eat, you cannot, even all the people that would have helped you, your support system, you cut them off. Why? Because he wants you to torment you. The devil does not come but to kill, to steal, and to destroy, right? And Jesus came that we will have life, and life in its abundance. So if you are living out of alignment with God's abundance, you must be able to check your life and understand, where am I losing it? And you will find that 85%, we are stressed at the core. There is an underlying stress. We have carried it for so many years. And it manifests, your stress is manifesting in weight gain. Your stress is manifesting in weight loss. Your stress is manifesting in overeating. Your stress is manifesting as bags like under your eyes. Your stress is manifesting in eruptions of anger, you know, episodes of anger that are uncontrollable. Your stress is manifesting in insomnia. You can't sleep. You go to bed and pace and pace and pace and pace all through because you cannot sleep, okay? And you turn You're remembering this, you're remembering that, and all bad. You're not, even if you try and force, let me tell you, remembering something good, you have to collect your mind and force it. But even the good is evaporating. It's only the bad that you have. We have galleries of so many bad memories. And so you cannot sleep. When someone calls you, even the people that would have helped you, you're not picking their calls. Your stress is manifesting by your love of comfort and running away from anything that would have propelled you, accelerated you, or elevated you. Your stress is showing even when you are the kind that has been going to church. Your stress is showing in your lack of the ability to even gather. Yeah? So it is showing your body is communicating. If you listen to it, your body is communicating. You are overwhelmed. You are overwhelmed. And let me tell you, that is not supposed to be our disposition. That is not supposed to be our disposition. And when you look at it, your stress is showing up, by the way, in pain. You have pain in your body and you just don't know where it is coming from. You feel weak. But you have eaten, you have gone through a normal day, okay? But you feel drained, you feel weak, and your body is communicating. It is communicating. And guess what? Even when you try to eat, you are running to junk. You're running to sugar. Your sugar cravings are high. Your carbohydrate cravings are high. And you just love all the bad food. The good food, you feel like, you know what, it is even stressing you. The good person is stressing you, and someone follows you up and is like, but you look stressed. You're like, I'm fine. I am fine. But again, you're going to bend over somewhere. So you realize we are running towards the bad, the one that is not constructive, and we are running away from what would actually have helped us. Because instead of moving your body, your stress is telling you, stay in bed and close the curtains. You even want it dark. You don't want any light. And let me tell you, the prolonged stress, because we have 4 phases when we talk about mental illness. We talk about the first as being a healthy you, a normal you. And then we go into the reactionary. The reactionary is when I told you that we are reacting to things, anger bursts, outbursts, we are lashing out at people, we are doing all these things. But while we are doing that, we are chasing away people. And so we are reactionary. We even speak to ourselves. You walk while you are doing your hands like this, you are doing it's like you're remembering something, but everything you are remembering is evil, and that is why you are talking to yourself. Otherwise, when you remember a good thing, do you know that when you remember a good thing, there is a smile that you have on your face that someone can even ask you, who is making you happy? Like they know. Have you ever been on a phone, you're texting someone that you love or someone that you enjoy, whose company you enjoy? The smile that is on your face is different from when you are stressed. When you're stressed, you're banging the phone down. When you're stressed, you're jeering. When you're stressed, like you're squinting your eyes, you are just what should I say? It's just overwhelming, okay? So now when you go from reactionary, you go to injured. Now you are deeply injured. And I don't want us to cross those thresholds, because every threshold has an implication. We talk about mental wealth. It's a word that has been thrown around so many times, okay? But people don't even understand what mental health means. People don't understand what your mental health is, okay? Because this is where you are supposed to be handling the normal stressful events of your life. Okay, that means you can self-regulate. That means you are healthy. The moment you fail to self-regulate, that's where you cross into the reactionary, and then you cross into the injury. Now, when you get into the injury, that is when you will want the pain to go away. Yeah, the constant pain to go away, the bad thoughts to go away. And so you are entering into a depression that you cannot bring yourself out. Because at reactionary, you can talk to a coach, you can talk to a pastor, you can talk to a spouse, you can talk to a friend. In injured, you are supposed to go to a clinical psychologist, because now you're thinking about killing yourself, you're suicidal now, yeah? And you are not eating to the extent that you can faint, okay? You are not sleeping to the extent that you cannot function well, you cannot even work well, you cannot perform well. And I'm speaking this, and so many of you are actually going through these things. You are at the phases, you are injured. You're like, maybe I'm better off not around. Yeah? Maybe it's been a heartbreak. Yeah? The way God created us, he gave us avenues of handling stress because he knew. He says, I have overcome the world, so you will overcome the world. You will overcome the world. Whatever is born of God overcomes the world. I believe that I am born of God because he knew me before I was formed in my mother's womb. Before my parts were woven together, before your parts were woven together, in the sacred places, he knew you and he predestined a good ending. He planned a good ending for you. But now when we are stressed, we forget about the God that knew us before our parts were formed together. We forget about the God that has good plans for us. We forget about any Bible verse that says that everything works together for the good of those that love the Lord according to his plan. Those that follow his plan. We forget all that. And so you become injured. Now you have to go on antidepressants. It's a clinical psychologist that can be able to see you at that point. And then when you come from injured, you go to ill. When you go to ill, that is where we are taking you for admission. We are taking you to Butabika. We are taking you to all these rehabilitation centers. Why? Because you must be sedated. Actually, otherwise you will do something wrong to yourself or to others. So you realize that stress is not something that you should be able, if you can self-regulate. There are people that are old, and I will tell you this, that the generations, baby boomers, Generation X, and the early millennials were better managers of stress. Okay, they were better managers of stress because we grew up in a different setting, because we were taught to be resilient. Okay, we grew up, some of us, for so many of us, it was hard work. Okay, we didn't get anything on a silver platter. It was about putting in the time, putting in the effort. It was about waking up early. It was about footing to school. It was about lacking food at home. It was about, like, we grew up in different settings, and so those settings actually, they made us more resilient. Okay, apart from the Gen Zs, the late millennials and the Gen Zs, okay, are the ones that have very unrealistic expectations. And that is why when stress strikes, the first thing is, can I get cocaine? The first thing is, can I abuse alcohol? The first thing is, can I sleep with women? The first thing is, because they are thinking that by bandaging their wounds, by bandaging their stress, they are going to take away the stress. That is not how we deal with stress. That is not how we deal with stress. So they are chasing after one thing. They abandon one job, run to another job, and they discover that they're going to find the same kinds of people, the same temperaments, the same kind of tasks. They're not having it easier, even the other side. So they keep going from one relationship to another, and to another. They keep jumping from job to another. They keep terming their bosses narcissistic. I know they are narcissistic bosses. I know they are narcissistic leaders. But again, there is this whole blanket, statement that the Gen Zs have taken on, like everyone is just narcissistic. Everyone that does not do things according to what they want is narcissistic and toxic. And when someone is doing what they want, and guess what? What is not elevating them, not accelerating them, not taking them, not leading them to success, that is our man. That is our man. Yeah, if you can take me dancing, if you can give me some alcohol, if you can give me some cocaine, if you can bring me some women, if you can bring me some men, if you can bring, as in some of the things, if you can just give me a phone, give me data. Yeah, give me data and leave me alone. Let me scroll and just scroll my life away. And then you'll be like, oh my God, that is the best thing that has ever happened to me. The best thing that has ever happened to you? How are you going to eat tomorrow? How are you going to survive tomorrow? Are you even thinking about tomorrow? So now the anxiety kicks in. Yeah, you become anxious about tomorrow. You become anxious about next year. You become anxious about your next job. You become anxious about your next relationship. You become anxious. Remember, you have the wounds of the past and you have the anxiety, and now you cannot even enjoy today. You cannot enjoy today. One time I remember, in the time that I was very, very, very stressed. I've shared that time with you so many times. If you are new here, please just watch my previous videos. You will see what I am talking about. And I remember one time God told me that, you know what, you are pacing and you are fussing around, and you are, you know, because I'm the kind that is quite deeply rooted, but I got to a place where stress shook me. Okay, and it was stress, it was anxiety. Actually, it was more about an anxiety, the uncertainty of the future, what was going to happen, because of the wounds of the past. I was not so certain that God had my back when it came to what was coming in front. I felt like I was living in a perpetual state of stress, a perpetual stress. Those that saw me in that time, I lost so much weight, you know, and you know, even when I tried to concentrate, by the way, God helped me. I concentrated, because that is the time I was going through campus, and that is the time, and I managed to actually pass with a first class. And to this day, I look back and I'm like, how was I able to go through that? And let me tell you, that is the time, you know, when you use your stress to your advantage, that is the time when my career took off. That is the time when my purpose took off. That is the time when I built a brand amidst stress. But it came from one thing. When God told me, when I was just in the presence of God and making a covenant with him and telling him I do not want to ever be broken and broke in my life ever again. And I was telling him, God, show me what to do, show me what to do. And he was telling me that I was fussing around with all this stress on my head because I was not casting my cares. I was not casting my burdens. I was not casting my concerns onto him, the one that cares for me, that he cares for me. He told me, I care for you so much that if you can bring these burdens to me in prayer, we will find a way. I will make a way where there seems to be no way. And let me tell you, God has been true to his word. God is a promise keeper. He's a way maker. He's a life changer. When he told me that, and I tarried in prayer, and I took a moment to just sit and listen to God, not to blabber, because I had a lot to blabber. I had a lot of complaints. I've told you about my life. When I hate, I will hate the same God, and then I will end up going back to the same God. Right now, I don't have the luxury of hating on God, because let me tell you, his goodness has been unveiled to me more than I ever anticipated in my life. But I came from a dungeon. I came from a ditch filled with stress, filled with thinking I will never amount to anything, thinking I would die broke, thinking I would die lonely, thinking I would die. That part of me, okay, that part of me is what he told me. Bring it to me, give it to me, cast it to me, and I will give you rest. And I remember praying perpetually and fervently and persistently that, God, I need your rest. I need to rest in your embrace. I need to be engulfed in your arms. You can love me more than anyone can love me. You can understand me more than anyone can understand me. And let me tell you, that chapter of my life never left me the same. It never left me the same, because my life, it was like a turnaround. You know how that song that says that when the enemy, what the enemy meant for evil, that God has turned around for my good. That's exactly what God did. That he turned around everything that was working against me, that was, that was for bad or for worse, and he made it into praise in my life. Okay, but one thing that he told me in the same breath was to protect my spirit. I was an introvert. I grew up thinking I'm an introvert. I grew up thinking, by the way, that maybe I'm a melancholy, or those people that actually laid back. It's until after I'd quite grown that's when I understood. And by the way, it's not that long. I think it's been like 5 years ago. That is when I realized that I'm actually a purely sanguine. Okay, like I'm that upbeat, dance anytime you hear a sound, don't plan too much, just go at life and something like that. But because I had gone through so many stresses in my life was shaped by stress. It was shaped by overwhelming anxiety. It was shaped by uncertainty, to the extent I had to go back and trace my money habits, and I understood that I was performing, I was doing business, I was carrying money, handling money according to stress and uncertainty and anxiety, not according to who I am or who I am actually supposed to be or how I was actually supposed to handle. And so what God told me in that moment was, protect your spirit. Do not let your spirit just far like that, okay? Do not just be taken up by anything. Do not just be involved in anything. So many of us have not protected ourselves. Some of the things, how does stress get into our lives? I mean, through the things that we see, through the TV that we watch, through the content that we consume, you know, and through the so many things that we do. That is how stress gets into our lives. I want you to say this together with me, that at all costs, I must protect my spirit. At all costs, as in your happiness, your everything depends on you. And so at all costs, I think you've heard the saying that says, protect your peace. Yeah, protect your peace. And it's a statement that has been thrown around like it's more of a cliche. Protect my peace, or I will protect my peace at all costs, or I will protect my peace. Sometimes if we don't know how to protect that peace, then that peace is robbed away from us. If we don't know how to protect our spirits, then the stress is going to infiltrate and it is going to take away the calmness. And I will tell you that in all my years of functionality, of practice, of people developing, the foundation, the building block for development, for your purpose, for happiness, it is calmness, okay? It is calmness. And sometimes this is what happens. When the stress gets into our mind, it's our sanity that actually pays the rent. You know, when they say, oh, someone is living rent-free in your mind. Now, when stress is living in your mind, like I explained to you, the parts that it affects and what it affects, the memory, the making of decisions, the goals or setting, the prioritization of events and all that. Now, if all those things are affected, I will tell you for a fact that you are going to be confused, and confused people confuse others, okay? You are going to be hurt. You are going to self-sabotage. You're going to be indecisive, okay? You're not going to make any headway. You're going to be like a goat that is literally bound and it is moving in the same circles where there is dry grass. It ate everything until there is nothing and it is moving around and you're just admiring. Why do we compare ourselves? Because inside there is an unsettling kind of feeling, okay? That is why we look at others and we're like, oh, they're running fast. Oh, they're way ahead of us. Oh, they're richer than us. Oh, they're more wealthy. Oh, they're wiser, or they are more beautiful, because the calmness is not inside of you. And I will tell you that it's your sanity that is paying rent for the stress to stay in your mind. Okay, so I need us to proclaim it and say it out loud that this time around, it's possible that I could have let my guard down. It's possible that I could have, you know, jeopardized my own calmness. It's possible that I jeopardized my own peace. But this time around, at all costs, I am protecting my spirit. And you know, when we talk about your spirit, you can ask me, but what is my spirit? You know, when the Bible talks about God, that is in Genesis 1, should be 26, and it says that let's make man in our own image, in our likeness, let's make man, okay? Now, in the likeness of God, remember it's saying let's make man in our likeness. That means it's a plural. That means it's God the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. And so when he makes us and says, let's make man in our likeness and in our image, let's make man in our image and in our likeness, let's make man. That means that even you that is made, you were made by the Trinity, and you also have a Trinity inside of you. So now we function as a body, as a spirit, and as a soul. The body definitely is the conscious part of you that feels that when you are drained, when you are hurt, when you you know, when something beats you, when you're hungry, you actually eat, you know, so it feels, okay? It feels. And your spirit, most of the things that we actually do, they get to our spirits, the things that we consume, the things that we, you think you are just consuming for the sake of consuming because the content is there. You're not consuming for the sake of consuming, you are being consumed, okay? If you're consuming bad because you are exactly what you see. The attention, what we give attention to is what feeds our spirit. That is why we tell people, feed yourself with the word of God. That is why the Bible says that whatever you find good, whatever you find praiseworthy, whatever you find noble, think on that. Okay, the moment you think about stress, we are stressed and we think about stress and we think about the things that are that are stressing us. And the moment you think about that, there's a scenario about a client that I met some time back, and she told me, because she was going through very stressful moments in her marriage, and so she told me that I actually told her that if you're not careful, you're going to get a heart attack. And she told me, it's like you're a prophet, because yesterday I went through the same scenario. I was thinking about this particular thing that had happened about my marriage. She was thinking about her husband, and she says she had gone for a walk, and so her chest tightened. And when her chest it got tighter and tighter, and so she collapsed, okay? She collapsed. She woke up in a hospital. Passers-by and other people helped her. They picked her up, but she wasn't coming through, and so she had lost consciousness, and so they took her to hospital. And so she was like, in that moment, I told her what God had also told me in my own time of stress. I told her that, you know what? I promised myself, because for those of you that are in my class, you even know, I tell you that I used to make appointments with crying. I used to make appointments with tears, clearly. You come from a wedding where everyone is happy, and then you're just thinking, let me just go home and have a good cry. Have a good cry, like you are overwhelmed, like literally you are keeping your tears. Have you ever been in a place where you're holding your tears and you're looking up like this, and you are blinking so that tears do not drop, and so you're thinking, let me go and cry? That means in that moment you have entertained thoughts, you have entertained stress, and you're thinking about it, and you're thinking about it, and you're thinking about it, and so your muscles are clenching up, and there is tightness in your shoulders, because I told you that stress manifests as pain, okay? And sometimes you feel a pain. I don't know whether you have ever felt a pain like on your heart, and you felt like, you know what, you are not going to breathe. Sometimes you even feel a sense of breathlessness, like you are losing breath, you cannot breathe. So you realize that all that is caused by the things that we see, the things that we consume, and we fail to handle ourselves and actually self-regulate. So while you are fasting and moving around, it's because you have not brought your issues to God. And I've told you that in the likeness of God you were created. So you are a body, you are a spirit, and you are a soul. For those of you that want to know more about the soul, I had an episode where I thoroughly talked about the soul, and I say, do not let your soul down, or do not kill your soul, do not let your soul die. And I explained what the soul is. You can be able to catch that, but I will tell you that you have to guard the whole you. You have to be able to guard the whole you, okay? You have to be able to protect you. You have to be able to protect, and mostly the spirit, because everything else that is attacking, everything else that is external, everyone else that is planning on something, those that are doing adverts, those that are doing social media platforms, you realize that all they want is our attention. That means our attention is very expensive. Our attention is very valuable. So can we value what we give our attention to? Can we decide what we read? Can we decide what we listen to? Can we decide what kind of people we have conversations with? Because let me tell you, someone can raise your stress or bring it down, okay? One of the things that we're going to talk about is sleeping well, because you really need, when you sleep, your brain cells, okay, are cleaned up, and the old ones go away, and there's reconstruction and there's regeneration. Okay, so that means if you can't sleep well, your body, your brain is going to deteriorate, your concentration levels, your focus levels, your, like, everything is going to go down because you cannot sleep because of stress. And part of sleeping well, it is deciding who is in your life. Like, who is in your life? Some people take on projects, like you become a mechanic and you're like, you know what, this love is going to happen by force, you know, by force, by fire. This love is going to happen, you know, I'm going to get married to you. Oh, you're good. And then you go and just, you are so peaceless, you are so stressed, you cannot sleep, you are turning in bed and you have to wake up early morning, go and work, and you're coming back to the same home to sleep with the same person, you know. So the choice of your marriage partner, the choice of the person that you marry is very crucial, very, very crucial. No one should ever lie to you that you should marry because of the curves, that you should marry because of the color, that you should marry because of the degrees, that you should marry because of the money. No, all those things can perish. Let me tell you, when you are stressed, you can be stressed. I mean, you can have money and you're stressed. You can have the most beautiful things and you are still stressed. So that means none of those things can take away stress. It cannot take away stress. But sleeping better, actually, it takes away, it helps to regulate your stress levels, okay? Because sometimes we cannot totally avoid the things that cause us stress, because business is going to cause stress, because work is going to cause stress, but we're not saying that this stress should not be like a constant thing in your life. That is what I'm saying. But the seasons of stress are going to be there. That is why God equipped us with self-regulation. Do you know that crying is one of self-regulation methods? Do you, as in, every outlet on your body was created in a way that it will help you to be able to curb stress, okay? To be able to take away the stress, to be an escape of stress. Okay, so I need you to be able to look into that. And we have allowed stress so much in our brains and it is costing our sanity. Okay, so let's release that stress. Are you stressed about, are you captured by anxiety and the wounds of the past, and today you're just living, like you're just there? There are so many of you are just living dead. You are walking dead. You are just moving about, you know, and you don't know what tomorrow holds. You don't care. You don't give a damn. You just there, you know, and the year ends and you feel stressed. So it's stress. You're accumulating stress after stress after stress. Why? Because you've not released the past and because you've not released the anxiety of tomorrow. Let me tell you something else that God took away from me. He told me, your tomorrow belongs with me. It's in my hands. If I predestined a good future for you, that means it's possible you don't know how that future looks like. It's possible you're following a sketch map. You're just connecting the dots, finding your purpose, developing people, getting married, giving birth to children. You're just following, but I will never let your foot stumble. I will never let your foot stumble. You know, me who called you, I am faithful. I am faithful that my promises are yes and amen. So if his promises and yes and amen, let me tell you, God has taken me through seasons and phases of trusting him, of depending on him, totally depending on him. Because woe unto you if you're depending and trusting a human being, because that is vanity. Anytime that can be taken away, anytime that can be cancelled. But when God says that I will make you, I will make you the best, that I will pick you up and sit you with the officials, I will, whatever the promises are, I need you to hold on to them. I need you to hold on to them so that you can be, for me, what that did was it helped me release. That look at the flowers of the wild, you know, no one dresses them up, but I mean, they look beautiful. Look at the birds of the air. They do not plant food. Go and tell me that there is an acre and the birds sowed seeds and so there is food and they can eat and stuff like that. Just look at that. That means we worry for no, and then he even goes ahead, guys, if you're not a Bible reader, I don't know what book you read. I don't know what book you read. Okay, because if he says that, I mean, if you worry, what does it do to you? Does it add another day? Does it bring money to your pocket? Does it change your relationship? Does it change your marriage? As in, if you worry, like, what does it add? What does it add? So that means that God is in a habit. God is in he loves to see us calm and peaceful, because they say that in coming back and resting, so you will be strengthened. Because when we are calm and peaceful, we are strengthened. When we are calm and peaceful, we can make better decisions. When we are calm and beautiful, we can build better homes. When we are calm and beautiful, we can pursue our purpose unapologetically. When we are calm and collected, and let me tell you, the devil fears you, or he fears you in that state. When you are calm and collected, then he's finished. When you are in a perpetual state of stress, then he's jubilating. He's like, yeah, I have him, I have her. There's nothing she can do. She's indecisive. She has fog all around her. She's confused. She's eruptive. She's someone just sent me a text message and was telling me that, you say that we can help people even when, we are not well. But for me, I can't help anyone. I find myself shouting at them. It's the message that I read a few minutes ago. And so I looked at, because when God empowers us, he knows that we are going to have these moments of stress, but he never lets people help us, or destiny helpers, or ministers, or people that are in places where they can influence others. He gives them the self-regulation, so that even when they're going through moments of stress, it does not show on them, and they do not speak with their stress. They will speak someone will come and preach a very good message. Someone will come and deliver a very good message. And you will think, oh, they are in the best of places. But when they are in the valley of a stress, okay, and when they go back to their state of stress. But here, when they were performing, it's like God overtook, their mental faculties, and he was delivering, and he was, releasing his people and delivering his people. So I was telling her, this is a decision that you have to make, being mindful, because mindful again is another tool. I think I've already crossed into giving you what tools have actually been able to help me to curb the stress levels, to be in a place. Let me tell you right now, nothing can steal my peace. Like nothing can steal my peace. Nothing can steal my peace. Okay, and whether it's money, whether it's finances, whether it's like, nothing can steal my peace. Will I be my calmness, imparting stress on me, that I am thinking about that, I'm like, I choose, and I'm like, I want to be mindful. I want to be in the now. I want to enjoy now. I want to have fun now. I want to serve now. I want to do everything that I need to do, or am meant to do in this season, because I need to be able to be present. I need to be mindful. Whenever you are stressed, your mind seeks to run to somewhere else where it can be entertained, or you can lie to it. That is why you find yourself scrolling. That is why you find yourself in gossip. That is why you find yourself on bloggers and channels that you're not supposed to be, because your mind is running away. Your spirit is running away. It is stressed. But the moment you have calmness in you, you will always be rooted. You will be deeply rooted, like the tree that was planted by the waterside, that its roots, like it will never dry. Its roots are deep. That means it can never dry, even when it is very hot, even in famine, and it will bear fruits in its own seasons. It will bear fruits in its own season. So release that, because the enemy wants to bind you by stress of tomorrow, and then by the wounds of yesterday, and do not allow that. And just like God told me that my tomorrow belongs with him, I am telling you, your tomorrow is with God. Okay, so seek God. And seek God and his kingdom, and everything else shall be added unto you. Seek God, pray to God, because prayer is another thing that has really helped me. Prayer and growing spiritually. So growing spiritually is spending time in the presence of God, spending time reading the Bible, spending time in worship, spending time in gathering, spending time, just feeding my spirit. Because as the spirit grows, the stress is coming down. As the spirit grows, the resentment is coming down. As the spirit grows, there is calmness, there is joy, there is peace, there is contentment that no one can even steal from you, the contentment that no one can take away from you. So I wish that for you. I don't wish you to be in a state of stress. that is perpetual. Okay, so I don't want you to be anxious about what's coming. I don't want you to be wounded by what happened yesterday. Yes, those things happened, but we can forge a way forward. We can forge a way forward. Okay, so I know you can't wait for next year. I know you can't wait for the next season of your life. Some of you are talking about next level, but let me tell you, there is no next level with all the stress that you are carrying, okay? Because you might think that going to the next level means that you are going to be stress-free. But I will tell you that if you don't not deal with your stress right now, even when, I mean, you will cross with it to whatever next level, and it's very possible that there is no next level for you, because the stress binds you. It binds you. It's a bondage. It is heavy. It is draining. So everything you need to do for you to get to the next level, you're not going to be able to do it. Because remember, we say that the parts of the brains that stress affects is, are the parts that are concerned with memory and concerned with decision making, with goal setting, with execution and all that. So that means everything you want for the next level, you're not going to be able to do it. So period, you're not going to be able to do anything. All right, so I need you to be mindful about your body. Yeah, feed it well. Feed your body well. Just like I told you, when you're stressed, the first thing that comes to you, that hits you so hard, is the craving. Sugars, carbohydrates, junk. Okay, so feed well, eat smart, because those are building bricks. Okay, and you can't say when the body is stressed. Okay, look at it. I remember, I think it's sometime back when my husband told me that he felt a bit weak and drained, and definitely I told him, number one, it is the stress, but number two, we have to be able to figure out and be able to look and track your diet, okay, and what you have been eating. And so we found out that on the nights where he ate certain kinds of foods, he was actually woke up weak and drained, and on the nights where he ate certain kinds of foods. So you realize that food is medicine. Okay, food, the body uses our food to reconstruct, to regenerate, so if you do not feed it well and you're just feeding it junk, that means it's just bulging and it's just not helping you. There is no strength. You are not you are not well toned. You are not like, you just don't have, when you exercise. And that's the other way of actually taking away our stress. Movement. Move your body. It can be playing soccer, it can be aerobics, it can be lifting, it can be whatever it is, but move your body, work out, exercise. I know for some of you this is a far-fetched thing. You have the intention, but you don't go to the action bit of it. I will tell you, I was the same until I had to find out what works for me, because me going to gyms was quite a hassle, because I am thinking about my family. I am thinking about, okay, I was at work all day and now in the evening I'm hitting gym, and then all of a sudden I go back home when the kids are sleeping, and then I was like, no, this is just not going to work for me. This is not just going to work for me. Let alone the fact that when I would go to any gym, definitely they would notice me, and then they would want to have small talk with me. And so I was like, you know what, I think the best thing that I should be able to do, so I actually pestered my husband for so long, get me an instructor, until he got me an instructor. Now the best thing that I do, that I start my morning with cardio, I start my morning with lifting weights, I start my morning, and the way I go through the day is not the same. The way my body feels is not the same. Okay, so the moment you try it, your stress, okay, when you work out your body, it will actually just evaporate. It will get out of your body. So be mindful, set boundaries, guys. Don't say yes to everything. Don't say yes to everything. Say no. And for some of us, we are going to say no a lot more, and people are going to get annoyed. But it's okay. Let them get annoyed, because if you don't want to go to that movie, if you don't want to go to that chaotic event, if you don't want to go, as in, say no quite often to so many things, invitations, groups, music, videos, content. Say no. This I am not going to consume. I am not going to consume. And then we need our discernment levels, and calmness and peace is part of the building bricks for discernment. So that means if you're stressed, you cannot discern. You cannot discern. And the Bible tells us to actually test the spirits. Some of us that have lost some relationships, things have not worked out, or even partnerships in business, you realize that it's very possible that in your past relationships, what you have been doing is testing bodies and bodies and bodies, yeah, but not testing their spirits, okay? Not understanding who they really are, what they bring to you. Because when you become one with someone, who they are is you, who you, like a lot is, you know, is coming into unison. So you must be very, very, very careful to test the spirit. And let me just leave 1 John to you, 1 John 4, that says that do not believe anything. Do not just believe everything. Let me just read it for you, just very briefly here. It says that, beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of God, because many false prophets are out there, or many false people are out there trying to, you know, seduce you, trying to win you over, trying to talk you into things. So you must be able to test the spirit and know that, is this something that I want? Is this something that is building me? Is this something that is leading me to where I want, to the success that I want, closer to God? Is this that leading me to peace and calmness, or this is actually going to steal my peace, that is going to steal my calmness, and I am not going to be the same again? I pray that God, that you find it in your heart, that you are able to get the courage and the boldness to do the things that you need to do in this season, that are going to take away the stress and are going to leave you well supported. Support system, make sure that your support system is intact, because it helps you when you talk to someone. You're able to actually take away the stress and bring the calmness, and the calmness is where God speaks, business ideas are born, and everything else that you need. Okay, I love you, and I pray that God helps you to take away the stress and bring the calmness instead of the stress. Bless you.